Dennis, would you like to introduce your co-partner there? I don't think we've met.
I'd like to introduce Michael Cordell. He's Asset Manager for Water and Waste. Mike may be known to some of you.
He's got a beard, I didn't recognise him.
Mike's based out at Bonshaw Park, and he does a lot of our work in the water and wastewater area, and I've got him along to talk about the Waitanui scheme. He's been involved in that for quite a period of time, and he can talk about all the details. Before we go on through the chair, just like to advise of an amendment to the recommended resolution number 3. And that item 3, resolution 3, should read: authorises the CEO to sign the subsidy agreement for $1,942,250, and stops there. So everything after that sum is deleted. Just make sure every members are clear on that. And just by way of a little bit of a background, back in 2010-11, the council applied for a Ministry of Health subsidy for the upgrade of the drinking water at Waitanui. It was successful in obtaining that application. We went into the preliminary design phase and encountered difficulties with dealing with arsenic. And it became cost prohibitive to deal with that arsenic for that small community. So that contract terminated, and we looked at other options, and a favourable option was to reticulate the town from Taupo Township. That application was made to the Ministry of Health, and subsequently we received approval for $1.9 million. And I'll now hand over to Mike to just outline what it involves.
Thanks, Dennis. There's quite a bit in here, so I'll just run a quick summary rather than go through word by word, but here we go. So, as Dennis has mentioned, some of you may not know, the small scheme that we have at Waitanui at the moment is only 37 properties, and this subsidy is looking at providing water to the full Waitanui, which is a total of about 211 properties. So to do that, we would be running pipework from Taupo. The idea would be that Waitanui would join the Taupo scheme. So the Waitanui scheme wouldn't exist anymore, we just merge. On the route between Taupo and Waitanui is obviously 5 Mile Bay, which is another 103 properties. 5 Mile Bay are not eligible for the subsidy, but we think that if we were to put pipework in to Waitanui, it should certainly consider 5 Mile Bay. There are benefits including 5 Mile Bay. It's basically a bigger cost share. The more people you have on, participating, the cheaper it is. However, it would be more expensive for those at 5 Mile Bay than at Waitanui because of that lack of subsidy for them. Some of the key issues: Taupo water treatment plant capacity. So we'll check that. The capacity of the plant is okay. We've got 25,000 cubic metre a day supply out of that plant. There's been a couple of days in the last 4.5 years where we have daily data where we've exceeded that, and that was when Rainbow Point was still in use. So that plant was built to that capacity, knowing that we would have to implement some water demand management and conservation and improve our efficiency in our use of water. So that's something we continue to do. Another important point is that the subsidy does not include firefighting. So above an extra cost, I guess, to the scheme is firefighting supply, which we recommend is included. That would be in line with our code of practice. Firefighting doesn't necessarily have to be included, but we're recommending it is. So There are three options. We've identified Waitanui connecting to the water supply on its own, Waitanui and 5 Mile Bay connecting, or the status quo, which is no new connection. We're recommending option 2, which is Waitanui and 5 Mile Bay. Some financial information in there. It's pretty high level. Shows the costs of the scheme, and it's split, showing the relative cost share between Waitanui and 5 Mile Bay. Probably the line at the bottom is the one you want to look at. We're expecting that above the subsidy there would have to be a contribution of around $2,800 for each connection at Waitanui, and around $6,000 for 5 Mile Bay. You'll notice on the next page there's a typo there. It says 5,070. On this page it says 6,070. It should be 6,070. So we could those extra costs for those two communities could be covered through a targeted rate over, say, a 10-year period, which is subject to, that could be 10 or 15 years. We need to work these things out, probably through consultation. And so I guess once those two communities were to join, they would pay Taupo water rate or cubic metre charge, whatever was applicable, as well as repayment of the extra sum. Those are given in the report. So we would be looking at a total of around $850 for Waitanui and $1,300 for 5 Mile Bay. That's assuming a 10-year period, after which time they would both revert back to the standard Taupo water rate. There is some benefit to Taupo water users for Waitanui connecting, in that the rates that those communities would contribute would be more than the costs of operating that scheme.
Sorry, Mr. Chairman, thank you for that. I think we've pretty much all read. I just thought I'd like to move the recommended resolution.
I'll give you that privilege.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. Just on 6/5, the last paragraph, 10-year plan. Would we be, if we were to go down that road, would we be also to look at connecting up the airport to the wastewater?
Airport to the wastewater is a separate project.
Yes, but you're going past it.
The question you asked, Councillor, was will we be connecting up the wastewater? We're talking about water here. Did you mean connect up the water?
You're saying to connect Waitahanui's sewage network to Taupo?
At the moment there is a project for connecting Waitanui to Taupo for the wastewater. The intention is, if this was to go ahead, they would happen at the same time for some cost efficiencies.
So my question still stands with the airport. If you're going past the airport to go down to Waitanui in 5 Mile Bay, would you connect up at the airport?
And the project that we've got going at the moment is to connect Waitanui and 5 Mile Bay back into Taupo for the wastewater. And in the design of that infrastructure, we're making sure that there's provision that the airport can connect when necessary. So yes.
But there's been no specific provision at this stage to make that connection.
On 6/3, you talk about the capacity of our plant here at the moment, 25,000 cubic metres.
Yep.
And then it has the capacity to extend it to 30,000 through the addition of membrane modules and pumps. Do they fall as part of that 860, that 10-year payment of 860 a year?
No.
Okay, so how does that work?
We're not proposing any capacity increase to the Taupo water plant.
Although it's mentioned that you can. It has the capacity, not at this stage?
Not at this stage.
Okay. Secondly, the 860 annual 10-year payments, does that include what the residents are paying for the water here now, the 4.4, whatever it is?
So the 448 is the line above, which is the Taupo water rate.
Yeah.
In addition to
I'm
that,
looking 6 bar 5.
yep. So you're looking at the table, the bottom table.
I was looking at the top table.
Okay, so if you flick your eye down to the last table,
300.
you'll see it's split there. The 448.
So effectively, it's over at 860 plus 448. That's correct. Yeah.
Any further questions, councillors? Councillor Jolin.
Through the chair, Mike, just a question. I was just more out of interest. The current 37 properties that are connected at Watahanui, obviously they're not covered. They're not part of recovering these capital costs, but the costs that they're currently paying, are they recovering that from another investment previously, or what's the situation with those guys?
No, they're a standalone scheme at the moment, and they pay their own targeted water rate for that scheme. So at the moment they're paying, it's actually very similar, $453, I think. In this proposal we haven't suggested that those residents contribute to the capital cost of this. They're already on our water scheme, but there could be some apportionment, I guess.
I just wanted to make sure it was fair and equitable, that was all. Yeah. Thank you.
Been moved and seconded. All in favour?
Aye.
Thank you.